As always, I'm your host from Tampa, Florida, Sal Guardo. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, former defensive lineman Kyle Searle, former Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Hess, and former director of football operations Dan Cobb. And we have a special guest with us tonight. Youngstown State wide receiver Max Tomczak is, of all the guests we've had on, he is the first current player on the roster to join us on the show. So we are very happy to have him. As always, before we get into it, please follow us on Instagram, Whitetown Pick'em Podcast. We are on YouTube Live. Please subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. Share us anywhere podcasts are found is where you can listen to us. A lot of different things we want to get through tonight. Of course, the Penguins pick up the first one of the season, beating Valparaiso 59-24. We're going to recap week 2 of the entire Missouri Valley Conference and preview Duquesne and preview really the rest of the Missouri Valley in week 3. But we definitely want to hear from Max and get him a quick interview in because I know he's got really a game to focus on, so it won't take up too much of his time. But before we do that, a very special announcement that really was breaking this week that we'd love to share with you. And I think Dan said that the podcast was legitimate when Jim Tressel was on the podcast. I thought it was legitimate when Ron Strolla was on the podcast, but it is now legitimate as our co-host Kurt Hess and Kyle Searle will be the commentators on ESPN Plus for the game versus Duquesne. They will be in the booth calling the game. Guys, congratulations. That's an awesome opportunity. Can't wait to see you guys on TV. Well, I guess hear you guys on TV. Any feedback or thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. I just hope that I got all my verbiage down like from the old days and I'm not tripping over my words. So I've been talking to Kurt since last night. I'm a little nervous, but I got a stack of notes in front of me to do all my homework for the game. So
I'm going to do everything in my power to raid the equipment room while I'm there. The thing after that is fair game. So I'm trying not to bring too much podcast on, try to be a neutral color commentator there. But honestly, we're both hoping for a big win.
Love it. And Kurt, if you could remember during your Hall of Fame speech, you did not mention the podcast. Therefore, the podcast needs to be mentioned at least once on ESPN Plus this Saturday. You can work it in there somehow. Just, think about it.
By the way.
But let's transition, boys. As I mentioned, we are very honored to have wide receiver number 4, the junior, Max Tomczak. He had about 100 yards last game, 2 touchdowns. Should have been his 3rd touchdown. I believe, was that you at Villanova on the quick slant that got called back?
Yeah,
so
it was.
Should have been his 3rd, but we'll get into that later. He's definitely filling in. I know Bryce Oliver was our go-to receiver last year. He's got some shoes that he is filling in. He is our go-to wide receiver. A lot of high expectations on Max, and he's filling them so far this season. So Max, just really before we get into the interview, update the listeners on just life in general, how the semester classes are going, and how the season's going so far.
Yeah, I mean, life's going good right now. Obviously, we're going into week 2. As for school, I'm a business administration major, so I'm kind of coming towards the end of my classes, kind of getting all my gen eds out the way. And right now I'm taking those just serious classes, I guess, at the end of your course that you got to take. But yeah, I'm coming to the end of my school. I got 2 years left, and I'm trying to make the most of it now.
Nice. DK, over to you, brother.
Yeah, Max, thanks for coming on tonight. Obviously, like Sal mentioned, you're the first current player we've had on the show, so we're jacked about that. And, thinking about a question for you, I thought about, you're kind of the veteran, so to speak, a little bit on the team. And I'm kind of curious, as I'm sure, all of us are, and some of the listeners there, new quarterback. Obviously, you played with Mitch, had a great year. You come into this spring and summer camp with, 3 new shouldn't say all 3 of them are new, but or 4 of them. can you give us a little snapshot as a receiver who's been playing and had some great games? How did you kind of help the quarterback room, be it Bo or Max or Brady, those guys? What was it that you added to that to help bring that group along? And talk to us a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a player standpoint, like we've seen behind the scenes, like these guys, those three guys or even four guys, they've been competing since even when Mitch was the guy. Like when Mitch was the starter last year, they're at practice every day working hard because they know that next year one of them is going to have to be a starter. So they've been competing for the last, 3 years, I think it was. I think Bo and Max came in here 2 years ago, yeah. So this is their third year. So they've been competing for the last 3 years. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, to compete for 3 years without, knowing your shot's going to come for those 3 years. But yeah, I think the greatest thing that could have happened for them was being behind Mitch, because I think Mitch's greatest attribute was being a leader. I think they saw how vocal he was, how passionate he was, and they're kind of building off of that. As for me helping them, I think I would say that I learned from Mitch so much that, and Bryce and the receivers before me. I don't know if you guys remember Sam St. Cyrin. I looked up to him so much. I was looking at his stats today, and he didn't do much on the stat sheet, but I looked at him as the number one receiver when he was here. And he just, didn't put it on the stat sheet, but he was a dog, and I learned a lot from him. But yeah, what I would do with with those quarterbacks is be like, okay, this is what we used to do last year. Like when you get more comfortable doing this, because when you're competing, you kind of want to do what the coaches want you to do. But little things like what Mitch would do. I don't know if you guys remember Ohio State when we threw that deep ball in the first drive, I think it was. That was not supposed to happen. Like we were supposed to hand the ball off and run it. But Mitch, just being Mitch, he just looks out to me, checks the play. Not supposed to do that, but he's so confident that he can do that, and it pays off. I think they even had to take Mitch out for a drive or two because he was doing it so much and they didn't like it. But yeah, I was telling confidence is huge for these guys, and I've watched Bo go from a little shy guy who just wants to get on the field and get off to being like one of the best leaders on our team.
Wow, that's cool. That's some info that we kind of wanted to know, and I'm sure people listening and watching the show were curious about that, because we've got a Hall of Fame quarterback on our show here, and he kind of got right out of the gate his first start, redshirt freshman against Penn State. So it's cool to hear how Bo and those guys and Max especially have been kind of waiting in the wings and kind of leaning on guys like you, veterans, to learn some new things. So I appreciate it. Good answer. Thanks.
We're going to have Cyril dive into the serious questions now. Go ahead, Cyril.
This question is bound to rip the fan base apart depending on your answer. All right, Max?
Okay.
This is very critical on how you answer. You got to answer the right way. And what is the best pizza in Youngstown? What is your go-to spot for pizza? And why is it Wedgwood in Austintown?
No, I'm glad you asked that question, because I actually got I have an Instagram page that I'm building up right now for like a food review page. It's called Gourmet Grubbers. So when it drops, you guys should give it a follow.
Yeah,
I'm in on that.
Yeah, but I haven't posted anything yet, but I've been going around Youngstown. Even when I go back home to Chicago, I just, try a bunch of different stuff. But I've got a couple of videos of Avalon, me going to Avalon. I tried their margarita pizza, and what was the other one I tried? It was the honey hot pesto hot honey. I don't know if you guys have tried that, but yeah, that was pretty good. But I haven't tried the Briar Hill, and I know everyone says that the Briar Hill is like the one to get. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't ventured out into Youngstown and tried different places. I haven't tried. What did you say it was Wedgwood?
Wedgwood. Got
Yeah,
the Austintown one.
Okay, I haven't tried that one yet, but I'm gonna do that.
So say you're from Chicago, Max?
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah,
you're pizza.
I've got a good story, because my first time trying pizza here, there was I went out with a couple friends that I just met, not on the football team. There's someone from the football team that introduced me to these friends, and they're like, "You got to go to BJ's and get a deep dish pizza," because they know Chicago's big for its deep dish pizzas. And I tried it, and I was like, "What is this? Like, this is not deep dish pizza." So I had very bad, taste of Youngstown pizza for the first time. But everyone's telling me don't go to BJ's and get that. And after trying other stuff, I'm like, yeah, that was a terrible recommendation.
I'm getting text messages from a friend of the show, DJ Moss. He says Cornersburg Pizza in Cornersburg is by far his favorite. He will not shut up about it.
It's legit.
You definitely got to check that out. Cornersburg Pizza in Cornersburg.
Cornersburg and Wedgwood.
Let me ask you something. In this day of NIL and all this, well, I'll keep it family friendly, crazy stuff with rules. Back in the day, we couldn't. Kyle used to like the Big Macs. We couldn't even buy him one. So can we, like, as the Y-Town Penguin podcast, are we allowed to take you on a little pizza tour, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
okay.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't know the rules behind it, but
I mean, I'm old school. Back in the day, we would have had to put in for an occasional meal, right, Sal? So yeah. I mean, back we were, we're kind of old here. It wasn't like this back in the day, but I think maybe that's a good idea for the Penguin podcast. Can we do a little pizza tour with Max? You can put us on your Instagram page.
Yeah, come on, little collab.
Right.
That was good, Cheryl. You didn't even know you was a pizza fanatic, did you?
No, I didn't. But here's another question that's going to rip the fan base apart, and I'm not going to answer. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Nah.
I think that's the majority.
Max, you passed the test, man. If you'd have said yes to that, we had big problems. Wow.
One more food comment is, I don't know about the pizza, but Wings and Barbecue. What's the crack house's real name? What do you call that place?
Royal Oaks.
Royal Oaks. The best wings you'll ever have in your life.
Royal Oaks.
It's in Bar Rescue was there. You got to get best food in Youngstown. Bold? What do y'all think?
I mean, it's pretty good. Kurt and I used to hit up C Staples when we wanted them fried sandwiches.
Well, let's move on. Question I had for you is thoughts on Coach Barassa. As you know, I think he probably already told you, he's from our generation. He was on the team while we were all there on the staff or on the roster. So same age, too. I think he was high school 09, just like Kurt and Searle. So he was with their class. I don't know about you, but he was too good for the scout team. He skipped over the scout team. The guy's legit as a player and a teammate. Have no idea what he's like as a coach, though. What's he like as a coach? And then if not him, who is your favorite coach on the staff?
Yeah, Coach JB, we have been through a lot. Like, I love Coach JB. And I know when he first got here, we actually bumped heads for a little bit. And looking back at it, I'm glad we did, because it helped us, like, understand each other a little bit more. And it was over dumb stuff. But, like, I think that just goes back to, like, how I think that me and him are a lot alike in a sense, as for passionate for the game. And I think almost if a player and a coach don't butt heads at times, like, do you really care that much? And no, yeah, ever since then, I feel like we've really understood each other a lot. But no, he's a good dude. You can really see his passion on the field. It's almost as if he's still playing. He tells us about times as he's playing. I was hoping you guys could tell me a story about him. I told him I was going to get some dirt on him. But yeah, no, I love Coach JB. Yeah. Who
would you say is your favorite coach, or you have another favorite? Usually my favorite's on the other side of the ball, because it's a lot easier to be friendly with those on the other side.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with him the most, so definitely, like, he's definitely up there. I think I got favorites for different reasons. I got some guys on the defense side of the ball. I want to shout out Coach Voss, because I know Villanova game, you guys mentioned it earlier when my touchdown got called back. Like, I was freaking on the sideline, because I mean, I don't even know what the call was to this day, but he came over and just kind of got me to calm down a little bit. Stuff like that. Some coaches are good for that. Other coaches are good for other things. So I say all of them. I mean, they're great. Coach Troy's helped me out so much ever since I've been here. I can't even talk about how much he helped me out. Coach Phillips, our head coach, obviously. And then you got everyone on the offense staff. Like, all of them are great.
I believe Kurt was actually a GA for Troy, Coach Troy, at one time over at Finley, right?
Yeah, man.
So he worked for him as well.
Yeah. I will tell you, Max. I'll tell you, JB can hoop. So okay. I don't know if he still can. He's 33 years old now. I bet he still can. Whatever.
He's a Florida boy.
He can hoop. I remember him getting ripped. I don't know if it was during or after the spring game. I think he scored a touchdown one of our spring games because he had a gray Under Armour sleeve on. And Coach Wolf early in his career was like, not a single person's going to wear a sleeve on this field. Because Wolf was thinking like none of us were any good at all. Like nobody on this field is good enough to wear a sleeve. And JB came out. He scored a touchdown, and I think he got ripped for one. And it was a legit sleeve. It came out. He was looking clean, and it was he scored a touchdown and everything. I think he was doing his little hammer time dance. Ask him about this.
Okay.
He was doing this. And ask him about his boys, man. Him and his boys that he grew up with in Florida. F4 is what he would always say is F4, F4. But they're like family. Him and his boys are family back home in Miami. So he always was ride or die. But we got some good stories about JB. JB and I pretty close. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the story about the sleeve because right before the game he told me to take off my undershirt because there's a different color sleeve. So I hope he's watching right now.
That's where it came
Sure.
from because he got ripped too, probably 2011. He was.
Yeah.
I don't care if you score 50-yard touchdown. Take the damn sleeve off.
Well, one more question for me, and Dan really he asked really about the quarterback y'all touched on earlier. So I have a blindside question. Just recruiting in general. If you want to just bring us back to when you were recruited, how it went, who recruited you, and why you chose Youngstown State.
Yeah, so it was weird times when I was a senior in high school because that's when 2020. That was when COVID was, at its peak. So it was really bad in Chicago. Like we weren't allowed to do anything. So they canceled our fall season, and so I didn't know what to do. Like, what do you even do when someone tells you you can't play football? Like this is my life. Like I can't get recruited. Like all those big time schools already know who they want by the end of their junior year, and I'm going to my senior year. I don't even have small time. Division I schools. So coming out of that, the only school I had, it's actually funny, was Valpo. And going into my spring season, I'm like, okay, it's March. Like all I have is Valpo. Let me commit to them just so I know I can make sure that I have somewhere to play football at. So I committed to them and they told me that they didn't want me anymore. So
Wow.
Yeah. So I got a whole bunch of more stories with them, but so thankfully, my uncle, as you guys know, he's here. We call him the head coach whisperer here. But he put in a word for me with the receiver coach at the time, and he just, hit me up, watched my film. This was during my spring season. So it was like a couple months from when all the commits were already going to come in there. So he hit me up, gave me a walk-on opportunity. I couldn't even visit because of COVID. So I just kind of just blindly was just like, all right, I'm coming. And then it's kind of how that worked out.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's crazy about Valpo. I can't, if you were on the other sideline, I would have definitely been in a panic because they've gotten a lot better from when we played them, and not to compare errors or teams, but Kurt and his offense did put 77 points on Valpo back in our day, and until Ron Strollo came on the sidelines and told us to call off the dogs, and that's when we put the scout team in. But they've gotten a lot better since. But Curdy, time for some fun rapid fire, brother.
All right, we got a good connection here. Can you guys hear me and stuff?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Max, just some quick hitters, man, just for people to get to know you a little bit more personally. We'll start with some more fun ones and then end with some kind of serious ones, but really whatever comes up first. So start off easy. Chicken wings. Are you boneless or bone in?
Bone in.
Bone in. All right. Yeah. Xbox or PlayStation?
I have both actually, but I grew up playing Xbox.
Xbox. All right.
Yeah.
App you spend the most time on?
App. It's got to be Instagram. It has to be.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys still have DV Sport or Huddle or?
Yeah, we use DV Sport.
DV Sport. All right. Does that count as an app? You're always watching film, right?
Yeah, but that's on my computer. So
okay.
The app, yeah.
Yeah, app meaning the phone, right? Yep.
Yeah, either DV Sport, Instagram, one of the two.
Okay. Teammate with the best shoe game.
Oh my gosh, I know who I would say last year, but the guy left.
The guy who was last.
No, he left.
No, he
Oh,
left.
okay.
Back corner last year, he transferred out. He had some good shooting.
Okay.
I don't know who it would be now. I'm gonna say I don't know. I would say Mitch too, but Mitch left. I don't know. I'm gonna say Ty King. He comes in with some stuff on him.
For sure. I mean, all your cleats are sweeter than the ones we had, man. Those are you guys look good out there with those cleats. Those Nike
Appreciate
cleats. Remember those first Under Armour cleats we had, guys? Those first Under Armour ones were. I don't even want to start. My bad. I'm rolling. Here
Garbage.
we go.
Garbage.
Hardest one-on-one matchup for you? I know one-on-ones during practice they can get competitive, they can get heated. What's the hardest one-on-one matchup for you? Because every DB kind of stacks up differently.
Yeah, that is true. I'm gonna go with Castleberry. His hips and his feet, I don't know how they work. They just Castleberry. Yeah.
Have you guys gone against each other for a long time?
Oh yeah. He
so-
actually, when he came in here, he was my roommate. So we go
Okay.
to the field all the time, get some work, one-on-ones, whatever. But,
All
yeah.
right. Now, you don't have to give any secrets or tricks, but do you know some of his secrets or tricks that you're like, all right, I know if he does this, I'm hitting him with this.
Yeah, I know a few of his weaknesses. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cass, we won't hit you with any of those.
Yeah, no, we can't have any other teams watching us right now.
Favorite NFL player?
He used to be Cam Newton. He's done. I'm gonna say I've been watching Amon Ra St. Brown a lot.
Yeah.
I try to see how he moves. I feel like I'm kind of similar to him.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Could be the same answer. Best NFL wide receiver could be active or past.
Active or past? Active, I'm gonna say Justin Jefferson. Past, I'm gonna go Calvin Johnson.
Megatron. Baby. Yeah, no doubt. Did Georgia Tech throw him the ball a lot, or were they triple option back then?
Reggie Ball couldn't throw the ball to anybody. God. That was a good one, though.
What would you be doing if you weren't playing football?
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably 95 somewhere right now. I probably wouldn't be in college, actually. I'd probably do some in the trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to college. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Olympic sport that you think you could excel in? You're pretty athletic, dude.
Thanks, but I can't hoop. I can't. I would say, I think I would be good at, ping pong.
Okay.
Ping pong or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, a little tactician, a little technical skill, right?
Yeah, and I could just practice that by myself, Something I could practice a lot.
All right, last two. A little bit more serious, I guess, but biggest influence on your football career?
Biggest influence in my football career? Probably, I'm going to say it wasn't an event, but it's my dad, really. I think he threw me into, he used to have this quarterback camp for kids in the area, and he threw me in there when I was 4 years old. And I would remember catching balls from high school kids and college kids, and I used to just cry, and I didn't want to come back because they threw it so hard. It just hurt my hands. But my dad just kept forcing me to come back, and I think that taught me a big lesson, and also just feel made my hands so much better. I mean, I was catching from dudes 12 years older than me, and I did that for who knows how long. So I think that had the biggest impact.
That's great, man. That's a great answer. All right, last one. One thing different between this year's roster or this year's team and last year's team?
I would say everyone's intent when we walk in the building. I think last year people walked in the building and their minds were, where can I go next year after I get film, on this year? And I think this year we walk in the building and we're like, what do I need to do to get better today? Yeah. Or what do we need to do to keep building that chemistry? Because we're all, our starting defense is guys that I just met 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. So it's we still got a lot of work to do. But we all understand the same goal. And I think this year it's a player-led team versus last year it might have been coaches telling players what to do. But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
Great, man. That's a great answer. That's awesome. That's really encouraging. Being an alumni and being a fan still of the team is to hear about that. We hear nothing but good things about that culture, and it sounds like, Coach Phillips kind of started it for everybody, and it's now it's the players are taking over and setting the standard, and I love hearing that. Sure. Thank you.
Just to echo what you said, seeing us played Villanova last year versus how we played Villanova this year, what you said just echoed that 100%. So it's great to hear. You felt like we lost a lot of talent, but somehow we look more competitive this year. So we're excited about the year. Kurt, Searle, just before we let Max go, any YouTube live questions or any Instagram questions? I know we have YouTube live question for sure, Searle.
Yeah, are you referring to Wolf or Crum?
Yeah.
Wolf wants to know how many touchdowns do you plan on catching. I don't know if he means this weekend or for the season, but
season.
I plan on catching however many balls come to me. I'm gonna catch every one, and if that's in the end zone, hopefully I'm gonna get in the end zone after it. I try to just make it.
That's a good answer.
Make it.
You kind of touched on the difference. You kind of touched on the differences between Bo and Mitch, but how hard is it to adjust to different quarterback play like that?
Honestly, I don't think I see a difference now, but I think it's because me and Bo have trained so many times for so long after Mitch was done. Because me and Bo are roommates, so we would go to the field in the off season. I think the quarterbacks have worked harder than I've ever seen a quarterback work since I've been at Youngstown, and we've just thrown so many times right now. It feels like I've only caught balls from Bo, and yeah, I think that pays a lot of tribute to that.
Can I ask a quick question real quick, Sal? Just a quick mention. Your uncle Mike, who obviously a lot of people know, and he's great to be part of the staff there. I enjoy his stories and being around him. We've shared a cigar or two, and he's great. Can you just real quickly give maybe a little story or maybe just a little bit about how he's helped you? Obviously, he helped get you here a little bit, but how has Coach Mike Tomczak, been an influence to you?
Yeah, he's really good at keeping me neutral. I remember a specific time I made a really big play, and I came to the sideline. I just went straight to him, and I was so just like ecstatic, just telling him like, I'm gonna change the words a little bit from what I actually said, but I was like, these dudes can't guard me, something like that. And he just kind of like was looking straight, and he's like, yeah, we got the next drive though, and I was like, okay, like okay. But it's little things too, stuff that like stuff that normal people wouldn't realize. Like I'll come back after playing practice, and it'll be like, make sure you do this like after the play. Make sure you do this after he catches the ball. Turn this way, get upfield, get a block. Or when you catch that ball, attack it a little bit more. Like just little stuff that like no one would really notice.
That's invaluable. There's a guy who won a Super Bowl and played for my Steelers for a while, so I even love him more for that. So it's just unique to have a guy like that on our staff. So we love your uncle, man. He's a heck of a dude.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate it.
Well, Mac, definitely appreciate your time, and I know you got studies and practice to get to, but do you have any last words for Penguin Nation to hear, or anything to say before signing off? Or does anyone have any questions for him before he says that?
We're good over here.
All right, Max, any last words for the listeners?
No, I appreciate you guys having me. I love what you guys do. I have fun looking at your guys' stuff all the time. But yeah, if you guys got any more stories about Coach JB, I'd love to hear them. But
we think it's something we'll message you.
Okay.
Last story about JB was JB's recruiting trip was the same trip as mine, and it was about, I don't know, dead of. Oh. You guys got me now?
Yeah.
All right. So it's the dead of January, and we're over in the Leiden dorm, and we're about to go to like the dining hall and whatever. And JB is huddled up, and he's got like this little thin coat on, and I don't know, I might have like a hoodie on, and it might be like 5 degrees outside. I walk up to JB, and I was like, "You're not from around here, are you?" I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Miami, man. I'm cold as." It's just like, so every time I see JB, I always remember that story, but it just is a testament to what a special place Youngstown is for him to want to come back and coach here when he was coaching in Florida. So he chose to leave Florida a second time to come to Youngstown to coach. So that is awesome. My little blurb about JB.
Yeah, and know this, Max, about your coach. JB came here out of the gate and was tearing it up in camp as a true freshman from Miami of Florida. Was just, I'm telling you, tearing it up. He was the talk of training camp in, what would that have been, guys? Training camp of 09? 09. Of 09. And unfortunately, right, when did he hurt the knee? Was it right towards the end of camp?
I can't remember if it was 2010 he hurt it.
Did he hurt it in 10?
We didn't
can't
have
remember.
him in 10. He came back. I remember throwing touchdowns at him in 11. I think he got hurt again in 12. And then we had a heavy rotation of guys in 13. We had Andrew Williams, Marcel Caver, Christian Bryan, like
a lot of guys. Yep.
We had 5 or 6 guys rolling deep, so he wasn't getting as many balls as he wanted.
Yeah, but Jelani came all the way from Miami, and I'm telling you, man, you could tell him. I heard a story that you were actually balling out your true freshman when you were an 18-year-old. So Jelani, and man, he loves Youngstown. So you got a good one there. Your coach is a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, Max, appreciate it again, brother. And we will be watching, and a couple of us will be calling the game up there. So, yeah, y'all definitely give Max a good shout out there when y'all are calling the game. Thanks again, Max.
Thanks,
I
Max.
appreciate you guys having.
Good luck to you. Thanks for not going to Valpo.
You're right. All right, guys, keep it under an hour. We got about 29 minutes to wrap this show up. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Let's transition. All right, guys, just a quick update on the top 25. We have 8 Missouri Valley Football Conference teams ranked. Just rattling them off. Without surprise, South Dakota State's still number 1. North Dakota State is still number 2. South Dakota number 6. Southern Illinois is 8. North Dakota is 10. Then 19 is Illinois State. Your Youngstown State Penguins are number 20. And capping it off is Northern Iowa's number 21. And there's a couple teams getting votes, Missouri State and Indiana State. I don't want to count Indiana State. They only have 1 vote, but Missouri State is getting votes. So that's your top 25. As we mentioned before, your Youngstown State Penguins picked up their first win of the year, winning 59-25. First quarter, very smooth sailing. Youngstown State is up 21-0. Then the panic button comes in as Valpo in the second quarter scores a touchdown, goes for 2, scores a touchdown. Before you know it, it's 21-15. We're only up a possession. Youngstown State answers, but Valpo also answers. It goes back and forth, and we go into the half winning 35-22. Going into the third quarter, we kind of peach score. Youngstown State scores a touchdown, and then Valpo answers with a field goal, making it 42-25. At this point, the backups come in. I shouldn't say the backups, but halfway through the fourth quarter, the backups come in, but we peel away with a couple more touchdowns, making it 59-25, your final. Another great job of halftime adjustments, holding Valpo to just 3 points in the second half. Whew. Said that as quickly as I could. So just going through Valpo, first one of the game. Over to Dan Kopp, players of the game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, real quick so we could hook them guys up with some of our Penguin podcast gear. Offensive player of the game, easy one. Bo Brungard just went bananas, went crazy, running the ball and just, showing what he's capable of. Defensive side of the ball, as Kurt mentioned, Stephon Hall, 4 tackles, fumble recovery, touchdown, PBU. He was all over the place. And on the special team side, Logan Pasco, who one of our starting linebackers, I was amazed at his running down on kickoffs and being on special teams, had a number of tackles. So he kind of stood out on the special team side. So we'll be, hooking those guys up very soon. We got some stuff coming to those guys from our guy at Eagleware. So that's the group there. So.
Gertie, offense, what do you think?
Yeah, talking offensively, just kind of going through statistically, this is, kind of the game that we thought we were going to have offensively. I think we had over 430 yards rushing total. This was the Bo show. Bo was the best player on the field on Saturday. 194 yards rushing on 10 carries, 125 passing, 11 of 14 passing. So we're making good decisions. We're taking care of the football. 2 touchdowns passing, 3 touchdowns rushing. Max, who we just had on, 98 yards. Ethan Wright, I think, had 77 yards. Tyshawn averaged almost 4.5 a carry. Offensively, not a whole lot went wrong for us. We took care of the football, which was great. I think we scored on 7 out of 9 drives. Maybe had 1 or 2 punts in there. I think we had a defensive touchdown. I know Cyril will probably touch on the D. But offensively, this is what we should have done. This is the way that we should have executed against a team of Valpo status. So well done, offense. Great job, O-line. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, O-line.
Cyril, defense.
Yeah, so this isn't your grandpa's Valparaiso team, all right? And by grandpa, I mean Kurt, myself, and everyone else that was on the roster when we played. This team was significantly better than the Valpo team that we played. They believed in themselves on the field there. They were playing to win the game. And, it's nice when you open up the first play of scrimmage, recovering a fumble for a touchdown. Definitely got to give your defense some confidence. Somewhere along the line in the first quarter there, Valparaiso made a switch to a scrambling quarterback, and that seemed to be the fits that we had in the first half. And if you are looking at a defensive scheme, you kind of have everyone accounted for, and you're expecting that quarterback to dish the ball out and not be necessarily a factor down the field. So I think that's where we got that corrected at halftime. We made some adjustments, and we were able to do a little bit better job of keeping aware of where the quarterback was, especially with him being a threat to run. What I thought we did much better job tackling. There were still a few tackles that we missed that I thought should have been, stopped at the line of scrimmage that ended up getting 4 or 5 yards. I think I want to see some improvement in our secondary and communication. Kurt, we were praising him at Valparaiso, or not Valparaiso, Villanova. And, I think there was some misassignments, a lot of big plays downfield. And if Valpo needed to methodically move down the field, they couldn't do it. They were getting it in big chunk plays through, once again, a key to the game last week to what we were doing wrong and knowing our assignments and things like that. So thankfully we were able to get it adjusted. We got to get better because the competition's only going to get better from here on out. Duquesne is a much better team than Valparaiso. So want to see all that stuff get corrected.
DK, what'd you think?
Yeah, Sal, I think the biggest thing, you mentioned it a little bit ago, I thought our adjustments at halftime, especially on the defensive side of the ball, were really good. I mean, that quarterback, as Kyle mentioned, came in and he was running all over the place. And in the second half, they scored 3 points. So I think this staff continues to do a good job with adjustments at halftime, which is a credit to them. And I think our quarterback got better, as Kurt mentioned. He keeps getting better. I think he showed he's going to be just fine. I'm sure he would like to have that one pass back earlier in the game. I think it was a post route, but that touchdown he threw to Max in the corner of the end zone. Kurt, you could speak to this. That was a hell of a throw.
Impressive.
To the opposite corner, and it was only where one guy could catch it. I mean, that was a heck of a throw. So I thought our quarterback showed what he's capable of, and he's just going to get better and better. But Cal's right. This isn't the Valpo team when Dan Kopp was working at Youngstown State. They've gotten better, and that quarterback of theirs is going to win them some games. But I thought we dominated the game like we should have. We put up, what did we end up with, 59? 59 points. I mean, not much to complain about when you put up 59. So, but that stood out to me. Defensive adjustments. Our young quarterback, as Kurt mentioned, was the best player on the field by far. So that's a good thing to see. So I thought it was a good team win.
To put mine in a nutshell, I mean, Cyril basically said what I was going to say. I just wanted to point out we play these games so that teams like this can expose our coverages, expose all our errors, and it's a team that we can come back and win the game without blinking and adjust to. So Hats off to Valpo. They definitely exposed some coverages and, like he mentioned, some communication errors on the secondary that we need to get corrected. So we're very happy that it happened against Valpo and did not happen against a South Dakota State or a North Dakota or a conference game. So that's why we schedule them. That's why Strollo puts them at the beginning of the schedule. Even though I hate them as a fan, I understand them as a coach and player. So Tyler, their quarterback, had 120 yards rushing. That needs to stop. That was a little concerning. Luckily, run guard had the 5 touchdowns. Offense looked fantastic, but I'm not sure who the quarterbacks are on every team of the conference yet. But if they're as athletic as that guy, we're going to be in real trouble. So definitely need to figure out how to stop the athletic quarterback as good as he was. But that's all I had. We ready to kind of put Valpo behind us?
See ya,
Yep.
Beacons.
Just recapping the week that was on September 7th, just on the picks. Myself, Kurt, and Dan, we actually all tied, and so you're a couple picks behind us. So we call it a scratch week, or we can all get a third of a point, however y'all want to do that. Or I guess we'll all just take a point. So Dan 2, I'll take 1, and Kurt has 1. Just recapping the week that was. Ball State, Missouri State. Ball State wins, and, well, they definitely cover. They were underdogs, 42-34. Youngstown State, as we mentioned, 59-25. And side note, Nico in the chat had 59-13, so he's definitely our winner. I don't know where the hell 59 came from, but that is the amount we scored. That's the amount he picked. Northern Iowa, St. Thomas, Minnesota. Northern Iowa wins but does not cover. South Dakota at Wisconsin. Wisconsin wins and covers 27-13. Tennessee State at North Dakota State. North Dakota State wins and covers. Southern Illinois Salukis at Austin Peay. It was actually a pretty close game, but the Salukis pull away and win 31-17. Illinois State at North Alabama. Illinois State wins but cannot cover. Indiana State at Eastern Illinois. They keep it close. Eastern Illinois wins 27-20 but cannot cover. Hats off to Indiana State. Butler, as we all talked about, Butler wins at Murray State 19-17. And as I said last week, Murray State is still pledging. They are our pledges. And if you want to join this conference, you got to lose a Butler at least once. So that's just part of what you have to go through. Montana with the game of the week at North Dakota. As they were up 24-3 at halftime, North Dakota storms back and takes the lead and wins the game 27-24. Huge for conference pride. North Dakota wins but cannot cover, but hats off on the massive comeback. And then Incarnate Word at South Dakota State. South Dakota State wins and covers 45-24. That is the week that was. Duquesne, or as my cousin once called them, they opened at Florida State once, and he called them Duquesnese. I had to correct him. Duquesne. Duquesne comes to town, 2 p.m., a rematch from our Week 1 playoffs of last week. It is going to be 72 and sunny on ESPN Plus, hosted by Kurt Hess and Kyle Searle. Looking forward to it. Just recapping Duquesne and what they've done so far, their last 3 games. Their last game last season was at the Ice Castle. We beat them 40-7. They opened up at Toledo. 49-10 is what they lost. And then they were just at Boston College and got smoked 56-0. And now Duquesne is headed back to the Ice Castle. Curdy, what do you think?
Yeah, so they're going to have players that are better than Valparaiso. Call that what it is right there. That's a fact we all know. Looking at their roster, they have some good players out of a great state for football, which is Pennsylvania. If these guys don't go to Pitt and they want to stay close to home from Pittsburgh, you can go to Duquesne. They're getting guys from East Pennsylvania. Guy Christian Bryan, East Pennsylvania, kind of Pittsburgh area, right? Like those are good players that really love ball. So they were a playoff team last year. And they have a lot returning defensively. So they for sure have 5 starters returning out of their 11. On the defensive line, they had 2 injuries earlier in the year. A guy went down on Coastal Carolina. A guy went down against West Virginia. I think both of those guys are back. So of their top 14 players defensively on Duquesne, again, a playoff team who was like top in the FCS in defense, also like number 4 in total touchdowns scored defensively. They have 12 out of their 14 players back who are veteran players. They've played Boston College. They've played Toledo. This is their big FCS game, and they're going to be coming in to play, and they're going to be coming in to win. They got a Georgia Tech transfer who came on, I think, late last year, who started to play really well. They got a second team all NEC guy in Rizzo. He's kind of their go-to guy. He's kind of their leader. But this is a team who I think they could potentially be dangerous, right? They're not going to be the same talent level as us, but they are a playoff team. They're used to success. I'm assuming their defensive coordinator, I didn't check this up, got a better job because they were so good last season, and their special teams and safety coach is now their defensive coordinator. So they're just plugging and playing right there at a very good level of football. And I think that they're trying to get some of the best players in that conference and run that conference. So this is kind of a dangerous team, kind of like Butler was when we were there and against Murray State. They're not going to be a team that we can just roll over like last week. If we're going to score every single time, that's going to be extremely impressive against these guys. So they have talent. They're going to be well coached. They've just lost 2 huge Power 5 games. Well, not Power 5. Toledo's pretty good in the MAC, but 2 big FBS games. This is the game that they've circled. Okay, we didn't get the first 2. We've learned a lot. We can get this one, and this is going to be the biggest win of their season before they get into conference play. So this is a dangerous team with probably going to be a very good defense. We better be ready to go.
Love it. Searle?
Yeah, so similar to what Kurt said, they got a lot of guys returning. Good coach. Coach Schmidt is entering his 20th season at Duquesne. And, these guys are building a little bit of a tradition of wanting and expecting to win their conference every year. You get a taste of the playoffs, and kind of the only path to the playoffs through that conference is to win that conference. And I expect them to be that team coming out of that conference. A player to watch out for, Sal and I talked about it a little bit ago, Taj Butts. Lit us up last year in the playoff game there and had a pretty good game. He might be banged up. I don't know. I tried searching for the status of his injury. He did not play against Boston College. He only had 5 rushes against Toledo. So a player to keep an eye out if he steps on the field. And then their quarterback, obviously returning. He was quarterback in the playoff game. And really, they scored 7 on us last year, but they were moving the ball a little bit on us, and our defense bowed up and stopped them when they needed to. But I think those guys are going to want to improve and get some points on the board. And really, like I said, the key to the game here is taking care of what we got to take care of, button up the communication in the secondary, be physical at the line of attack, and make sure when we were playing, we had you have all your goals for the week. And defensively, I think our tackling goal is 95%. So, if there's 100 defensive plays, you got, can't have 5 missed tackles. Obviously, there's typically around 60 to 70, depending on the pace of play. But, continue to get better at tackling and communicating in the secondary, and I think we'll be all right.
DK?
Yeah, I think you guys touched on some things. That coach has been there a long time. Duquesne's it's a good program. And, I was looking through their roster. Sal, they got a guy from Jesuit. So I don't know. You'll have to look up his name, maybe if you know something about him. But I don't know if he's a player. But they get guys from Florida. Obviously, they're loaded with Pittsburgh talent. The quarterback, do you pronounce it Paranis? I'm not sure.
So.
He was up for the Walter Payton Award, I believe, last year. He's the preseason NEC Offensive Player of the Year. Anytime you got a quarterback like him that can do a little bit of both, that presents problems. The running back, as you mentioned, Kyle Butts, he's a good one. So, that linebacker you were talking about, Rizzo, was a YSU guy, right? He started his career here and left, and he was a pretty good player player for us when he was here. So, I think Duquesne, this is, with all due respect, this is kind of their Super Bowl. I mean, they're coming here looking at, we're the NEC champ. Let's, and yeah, we got to them in the playoffs, and so be it. But that was last year. So they'll be fired up. They're well coached, as you guys mentioned. They always have been. And they've got good football players. And they've attracted some transfers, as you guys mentioned. So I think for me, the key is going to be, again, can we just kind of win that game up front? And it'll be nice to see Bo. Again, what's the next step? Here's his third start against a playoff-type team. Will he continue to do what he's been doing? It'll be interesting to watch that. And I think, guys, I looked and I saw something online. I'm not sure it's still the case, but I believe Jerry Olszewski is coaching there at Duquesne. There was a piece about him coaching there, but I don't see him on the coaching roster. But I do believe he's helping there maybe as a quality control or some position with defense. Maybe you guys can find that out for sure. But I did see something online about Jerry O. We all love Coach O. So, I mean, a guy like him on their staff helps, and Coach Schmidt does a great job. But I just kind of want to see us do those things. I think it was great we saw that quarterback at Valpo this past week, because I believe this Paranis guy probably doesn't run as much, but he's a dual threat guy. So we've seen that now. Maybe it was some prep for him, and but Duquesne, have no doubt about it, they'll be ready to play.
Yeah, and just like you and Sherrill both said, you basically took my scouting report. Josh Butts, the running back, Missouri, he's a Mizzou transfer from a couple years ago, played us tough in that game, playoff game. He did only have 5 carries against Toledo, but they were for an 8-yard average, so he was really on track. Didn't play at all against Boston College. Sherrill said he doesn't see him the 2 deep. Definitely check warm-ups. If you see him warming up, buckle on the chin straps. It's going to be a rocky ride, and we definitely need to shut him down. Like you said, Parentes, if that's how you say it, he's not as athletic as Valpo's quarterback, Tyler. However, my key to the game is week 1, Nova defense came out, I don't want to say flat, but we had to make some adjustments, improved in the second half. Valpo came off a little flat, had to make some adjustments, got better in the second half. This is now week 3. We need to figure it out. Defense, as far as when I say figure it out, I mean from the kickoff, we got to be ready to go on the defensive side of the ball because, yes, if we aren't ready, we will come back and probably win this game in the second half. However, let's get it ready and get it figured out against Duquesne, because versus Pitt, you're not going to have the opportunity to come back in the second half. We got to be ready to go. So let's get those coverages and all that communication and the game plan the whole way through. Let's get ready to go. So my eye on the game is the defense. Definitely want to watch the defense as a unit in quarter 1 and quarter 2 versus Duquesne. Ready to go on to our picks?
No, 2 more things, Sal. So Jerry O is going into his second year as a defensive assistant with Duquesne. So I'm making a point to say hello to him before Kurt and I head up into the Don Constantini Media Center. And, just to kind of talk about, I hope we're not going to look past this team because we beat them 40-7 in the playoffs. Last year, Coach Kopp said it's a totally different team. They're returning players. And if you were to think, maybe Villanova looked past us and they took some they relaxed in the second half because they're like, oh, they got out to a hot lead and, we kept fighting. Duquesne's going to come in here and want to do a better job. So we can't look past them. We got to focus, like I said, on us and us getting better at what we got to take care of so we don't get into a position like we put Villanova in.
Can I say something real quick, like 10 seconds out? It's interesting when we play a Valpo and Duquesne, and now if I'm up in my boss's suite watching the game and I hear people talk, they expect us to just come out and roll up 55 points in the first half and Valpo and Duquesne lay down for us. It's funny. Duquesne is at the same level of football as Youngstown State. They won a conference championship. They played us in the playoffs last year. They have a coach that's a very good coach. They have good players. They want to beat us. We should not be surprised if it's a close game in the first half. Of course, I want to be up 35-3. We all want that. but this is a good football team that's well coached, and they have good football players. So anything we can do to say, like you said, Sal, if we come out and have adjustments ready, but that's what you guys all know coaching's about. If we have to make adjustments in the second half and shut them out, then great. But this will be a good football team. I hope we beat them by 45 points. If we don't, who cares? Let's win the football game. But you guys all know these are good football teams, and we're in for a good football game because they're going to come here ready to play. They've circled this game since last November.
Well, Cyril, if you do see Jerry O, please get his phone number and tell him that Sal Fonts wants to give him a call, all right?
Yeah, I will.
Hey,
Let's move on. All right, let's do this rapid fire, boys. Let's get our game predictions in here. We'll go in our order. I'll pick Kurt, Kopp, Cyril. Tell us who's going to win, who's going to cover. First game, Western Illinois. You think you'd get rid of them, but they are back. Western Illinois is at Illinois State. Illinois State is a minus 16.5 favorite. I have Illinois State winning and covering.
same.
Same.
Idaho State. Man, I don't know who's making North Dakota's schedule. Idaho State is at North Dakota, 2 p.m. North Dakota is a minus 17.5 favorite. I think they could win, but I do not have them covering.
Win and cover.
I've got them winning but not covering.
I'll ride with Kurt. They're going to cover.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Duquesne is at Youngstown State, 2 p.m. Youngstown State is a minus 26.5 favorite. I have them winning and covering.
The line for us of 2.5 hot dogs. I'm gonna cover that spread up in the Don Constantini Center up there.
Yo, I got the same thing. Penguins win and cover.
I'll match Kurt's 2.5 hot dogs. I'll raise them 2.5 hot dogs, but not going to make a pick on
Kobayashi, baby.
Wait, are you guys even allowed to pick? Are you like Kirk Herbstreit? Do you have to?
They're on the call. They can't pick.
I even said earlier,
Yeah,
I was going to win, and I messed that up. So whatever.
That's why we broke the news to you guys, because we were originally not going to break the news to you guys.
And just let Sal hear us on the TV.
Yeah.
It was really nuts because you wouldn't have texted me back. You know what I mean? I'm like, is that Kurt? Oh, man. But real quick, Cyril, score predictions on YouTube Live. We got a bunch of them. What are they saying?
Richard Wolf, 77-13. YSU wins.
Big dog Wolf.
Jason Crum, 38-13. Gwins. Mets, who's pretty dialed into college football here, has YSU winning 35-14. Pretty similar to last year's playoff score, so not too far off there.
Okay.
And that is what I got.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Moving on. South Dakota is at Portland State, 4 p.m. South Dakota is a minus 10.5 favorite. I have them winning and covering.
Same.
Wait a minute. Sal, you have South Dakota winning and covering? I thought they stink.
Sal has no respect for the state.
I'm glad you said that because you were the only one that picked them last week, and everyone got it right but you.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Them Yokes, baby.
South Dakota to win and cover.
Okay. North Dakota State is at East Tennessee State, 5:30 p.m. North Dakota State. It's kind of funny they're on the road there, but North Dakota State is a minus 25.5 favorite. I have them winning and covering.
They got some love affair with the state of Tennessee. This is back-to-back Tennessee games. Give me them Bison.
Sure.
Man.
Come on, Dakota boy.
Oh, sorry. I lost my internet, and I probably just dropped an F-bomb there. North Dakota State to win and cover.
All right. Kurt's hometown boys, the Dayton Flyers, are at Indiana State, 6 p.m. Indiana State, minus 14.5. Curdy. I think Indiana State's going to win, but I do not see them covered. I think the Dayton boys will be ready to go.
Go Dayton Flyers. Flyers will win that game easily.
You got Dayton winning outright win. Okay.
Money line.
Boys wouldn't let me down.
All right. Give me the Missouri Valley to win and cover. Give me the Sycamores.
I'll take Dayton with the points.
Yeah, no doubt. Lindenwood is at Missouri State, 7 p.m. at night. Missouri State is a minus 14.5 favorite. I have them winning and covering.
Same.
Mississippi Valley State, I believe, is home of Jerry Rice, is at Murray State, 7 p.m. It is an even pick'em game. Just a side fact about these teams, Mississippi Valley State has not won a game since October 14th of last year. Murray State has not won a game since September 30th of last year. So both of them are in desperate need of a win. I think this is going to be the time that Murray State wins and covers.
Yeah, I'll take him, Murray.
Yeah, give me Murray State.
I'll take Murray State.
Am I saying that right? Augustana University of South Dakota. Is that South Dakota State, number one in the country?
Can we just skip this one? We all know the answer.
All right.
Yeah, just mark us down.
All right. South Dakota State is a minus 37.5 favorite. We're all in favor that they'll win and cover.
Yes. How come no one talks about South Dakota State playing a team like this? I mean, it's like us playing Valpo. So
Incarnate Word is at Southern Ill, 7 p.m. That is a pick'em game. I think Incarnate Word's pretty good. I have Incarnate Word winning this game.
I'll take the hometown team here. Give me the Salukis.
Yeah, Cam Ward is not at Incarnate Word anymore, so give me the Salukis.
I'll ride with Salfons on this. I'll take Incarnate Word.
Northern Iowa is at Nebraska, number 23 Nebraska, after they smoked Deion Sanders, 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. Nebraska is a minus 28.5 favorite. I think that Nebraska quarterback something special. I think they're going to win and cover.
I think so too. He can really sling it. Give me the Huskers there.
Give me Nebraska to win but not cover.
I want to see more out of this UNI team, but I'm going to take Nebraska to win and cover.
We'll spare you from picking these games because it's week 3 and we don't know much about them, but some good out-of-conference games I want to know. Nichols is at Sacramento State, 9 p.m. Mercer is at Chattanooga, 6 p.m. That will definitely have playoff potential that we'll look back at these games. And then Albany is going across the country to Idaho, 4 p.m., a big out-of-conference game. Idaho's a minus 9.5. I thought that Kurt and Searle could pick that, so we all picked the even amount of games. Kurt?
I'm going to take Idaho because I think Searle's going to take Albany.
So Albany was like my dark horse in last year's playoff. I thought that defense was so good. There's some YSU blood over there coaching that YSU defense or Albany defense. So
Bafano?
I think that's a tough road trip. I mean, that is, I don't know. That's from New York all the way to Idaho. I'll take Albany with the points.
Kurt, you were correct. Well, that will wrap that one up. Let's transition, boys. YouTube questions, IG questions, comments, any shout outs before moving on?
We're good here.
All right.
Good over here.
DK, it's definitely your time. Are you ready for this or no?
Yeah, you want to give out some high school shout outs, right?
Mm-hmm.
To give scores is kind of tough just because of keeping track of that. But, this is just Ohio that I'm aware of. Some Ohio coaches, these are head coaches that have some YSU connection in a certain way. I'm going to rattle the names and their connection or who they were with. Eric Meek is at Steubenville Central Catholic. He worked under Jim Tressel. Brian Coman at Ravenna High School. I used to call him Co-Dog. He played for Coach Tress in the 90s. Brian Hoffman, head coach at Hubbard High School, played for Coach Tressel. Our guy Brian Jones at Howland High School. Jonesy was with us with both Coach Haycock, Coach Wolford. Carl Pellini, obviously, he's head coach at Cardinal Mooney. Dan Reardon at Ursuline High School. Dan was back there with Coach Tressel and Coach Aycock. David Rock, he's got South Range rolling. David played under Coach Aycock and Coach Wolford. I mean, he's got them rolling. Derek Bush at Lakeview High School, great tight end under Coach Aycock. He's got Lakeview undefeated to actually play South Range this week. So 2 Penguins going
Big
against
matchup.
each other. Yeah, big matchup. Kurt Bethard, who was a coach under Coach Wolford, just got a job Zion Christian High School this year. Matt Richardson is turning Harding around. He was on the 97 championship team under Coach Tressel. Matt came home to Warren and is doing a really good job. They got a big game against St. V's. Mike Gilligan down there in Madison High School. He played linebacker under Coach Tressel. Pat Pearson at Girard. Sal, you probably remember Pat. He was a coach under Coach Aycock there when we first got there. Sean Guerrero, Springfield local. Coach Bo Brungard. He played under Coach Tressel. Tim Tyrrell, who's had Hoban High School multiple state championships. Tim was a player on Coach Tressel's 97 title team. Ken Parise at Champion High School, been a coach a long time. He actually played for Coach Narduzzi in the day. John Armini at Western Reserve High School. He was with us briefly with Coach Aycock. Matt Altamar back at Latonia. He was under Coach Tressel. And Seth Antrim at Cheney High School was under Coach Polini. So that's a list of those guys that have a deep Youngstown connection with going back to Coach Tressel's days. And those guys are leading programs here in Ohio. If we miss someone, hit Kurt or Kyle up and let us know. Obviously, we don't want to leave anyone out. That's the state of Ohio that I went through as head coaches that are kind of part of the Penguin family. So looking forward to that Derek Bush and David Rock matchup this weekend. That's pretty cool.
That
So
is
good luck to all those
hell of
guys.
a list, man. I didn't think you'd rattle that many names off. Jim,
Yeah, I went through them fast. So if I miss someone, please hit us up. Good luck to all those guys.
Anything else, boys, or are we good to wrap it up?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Again, your Youngstown State Penguins are hosting Duquesne, 2 p.m. Our very own Kyle Stroll and Kurt Hess will be on the call. So definitely, if you cannot make it to the game, tune in to ESPN Plus or your local TV station, and let's see how our boys do on their debut of calling a game live. But that's more or less it. Again, we are on Instagram on White Time Penguin Podcast. Please follow us. Subscribe to us on YouTube Live. Give us a like. Please share our podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Anyone, any friends, family, alumni you may know interested in the show, love to hear it. The word spread around as it seems like it's getting really all over the country. A lot of people we run into know of it, so we love it. Definitely love having Max on the show. That was awesome. But again, we are the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sal Guardo. That is Kurt Hess. That is Dan Kopp. And that is Kyle Stroll. And as always, go Penguins.
Go Penguins.